100 days till election day, so I wanted to take a moment and make my official davidvogel.net presidential endorsement for 2016. And I am going to be endorsing NOTA 2016. That's none of the above. I'm not going to be voting for Donald Trump. I'm not going to be voting for Hillary Clinton. And I wanted to take a second to explain to you why that is, because I hope that you'll do the same. So, for me as a conservative, explaining why I'm not voting for Hillary Clinton is, almost a no-brainer. It's almost not worth taking the time, but I want to anyway, because I know that some of you are so concerned by Donald Trump that you're considering swinging and voting for Hillary Clinton. And so I really would urge that that's as much of a problem as voting for Trump. So there's really three good reasons not to vote for Hillary Clinton: her character, her policies, and the message that it sends. So to start with, she's a liberal. She is a dyed-in-the-wool liberal, and if you're a conservative, that matters. She's going to be terrible on Second Amendment rights. Going to be terrible on pro-life. She's going to be terrible on economic regulation. She's going to be terrible on taxes. She's going to be terrible on every policy that matters to you and that matters to the country. And then her character. And where do you start on Hillary Clinton's character? Her dishonesty, her pathological lying. I honestly don't know if the woman even knows the difference at this point between the truth and a lie. And not only that, but the blatant corruption that she displays. The corruption of the Clinton Foundation, channeling huge amounts of money into her and Bill's pocketbook just to buy political influence, both from people in the United States and even from foreign governments. And then the fact that the whole email server debacle, where she sets up a private email server to avoid accountability. She then leaves that server open to foreign hackers, foreign governments, then lies about the entire thing, continues lying to this day about the entire thing. The FBI has to hold a press conference to call her out for her lies, and then she lies about what the FBI says in the press conference where they called her out for her lies. Total lack of integrity and character. And then thirdly, the message that it sends. Well, basically, it goes back to that lack of character. If you vote for Hillary Clinton, you're saying that it does not matter, that she has tremendously harmed the security of the United States, the integrity of the United States, through her actions with the email server and decades of mistaken policies. And particularly, you've endorsed this idea that because she's a Clinton, there's no political accountability. If she had been anybody else on the planet, she would be indicted at this point for spilling secrets to foreign governments through her email server, through breaking classified information law. And she didn't get indicted because she's a Clinton. And if you vote for her, you're endorsing that. Well, why not vote for Donald Trump then? Obviously, as somebody who is a conservative, who usually votes for the Republican candidate, he would seem to be more suitable to me. But there's really good reasons not to vote for Trump too. And it comes down to character, policy, and the message that it sends. His policies are, well, I have no idea what his policies are, actually. In fact, I don't think anybody, including he, knows what his policies are. This is the guy who took 4 different positions on abortion in 24 hours. He is literally all over the map. Sometimes he can't even find the map. You could give him a map to the map, and he would lose the map to the map, and probably somehow we would turn that into a 24-hour news cycle that ended up with him saying something insane. He has genuinely no consistent policies. Build the wall, I suppose, or make America great again. That's his policy. Hint: if your policy can be printed on the front of a baseball cap, that's not a policy. That's maybe a goal, an aspiration. And it's a great goal. I share it. But if you have no ability to articulate any specific policy, no grasp of what you're going to do to actually make America great again, I'm sorry, but I don't really trust you to do so. So he is simply an empty cipher when it comes to the question of what policy are you going to put into place. So I can't trust him on policy really well either. What about his character? Right, exactly. This is the guy who may be the only person in America who can outlie Hillary Clinton. He has no personal integrity. Just look up the Trump University scandals. Look at his connections with Putin's Russia, possibly even with mafia figures. Look at his appalling bragging about cheating with married women. Look at his just disgusting and sleazy comments about women. Or the fact that he repeatedly cheated on his wife with then people who he later married and then divorced as well. He is a moral black hole, and he's totally lacking again in that integrity that you need to be able to trust a leader. So his character is equally appalling as Hillary Clinton's. And the message that he sends is also a deeply troubling one, particularly if you, like me, actually feel like the Republican Party often gets it right, that their policies generally, with some significant exceptions, are better for the country. And therefore you'd like to see conservative, solid candidates. What voting for Donald Trump says not only is, are you putting in place a completely unknown set of policies driven by a man without personal integrity, but you're also saying, oh, Republican Party, if you nominate a garbage candidate, I will vote for your garbage candidate in order to avoid electing the other guy. I'm sorry, but if Donald Trump is somebody that you cannot vote for, because if he had a D after his name, then you have no business voting for him just because he has an R after his name. So that message that you send to the Republican Party of I'll salute and fall into line no matter who you nominate, that's a terrible message for 4 years from now, 8 years from now, 12 years from now. We need a conservative party that actually stands for something in this country. And what you're saying if you vote for Donald Trump is, I will support this party, whatever it becomes, whatever it does, wherever it goes. And I can't send that message. Well, what you going to do then? How do you balance out these two appalling options? Trump, Clinton, Clinton, Trump. There's no good option. Well, I think there actually is a good option, and I'll get to that in a second. But first, just thinking about how do you weigh it? Well, on policy alone, I probably, as a conservative, would be a little bit more inclined to support Trump. I think, by the law of averages, he's more likely to enact more policies that I prefer simply because he at least is pretending to be a Republican. And he's going to have more conservative advisors, et cetera, et cetera. I'll probably like his Supreme Court appointees somewhat better, though, frankly, he's much more likely to appoint a moderate Republican who turns into, David Souter or Anthony Kennedy. He's not going to be appointing Antonin Scalia 2.0. He's not going to be appointing Clarence Thomas to the court because A, he has no convictions, and B, he's all about make a deal. So again, with policy, I'm going to like him a little better, I think, but not a whole lot. But on the other hand, he may be a disaster. And he may be a bigger disaster than Hillary Clinton is likely to be, because even though she is a horrible politician, a horrible person, she's at least fairly consistent. She's in it for Hillary Clinton. And she's going to pursue basically, Barack Obama 2.0 kind of policies, probably make it a little bit worse. It's going to be ugly. I can't imagine the thought, a year ago, if you would have told me that I would even consider that Hillary Clinton being elected might not be the worst possible option, I wouldn't have believed you. But, that's where we are. So yeah, she's going to push for liberal policies, yeah. But Trump, on the other hand, might push for more conservative policies, or he might accidentally declare war on Madagascar. He might decide that we need to push for a law to imprison journalists who disagree with him. He might decide that we need to declare martial law because somebody tweeted something mean to him. He really is just totally, insanely unpredictable. Perhaps you saw the news article that came out a few days ago where it's alleged that during a security briefing 3 times in an hour he asked why we can't drop nuclear bombs on people. And I don't know if he really said that or not, but it's kind of scary that that nobody's sure. That you can't just say, well, no, that's insane. Of course he doesn't want to start nuclear World War III. If he can't even grasp that level of a discipline that you got to hold those nuclear weapons as a deterrent and just talking willy-nilly about using them, just like he talked about abandoning our allies in Eastern Europe and letting Russia potentially conquer them, the man just doesn't have any core convictions other than just whatever's best for Trump. And so because he's got his, millimeter thin skin and his Everest-sized ego, he's incredibly volatile and unpredictable, and I can't sign off on that. I'm sorry. But even if I think probably his policies might be a little bit better, they could also be catastrophically worse. And I can't make that judgment. And if somebody comes to me and says, look, you've got this hideous, horrible option or this hideous, horrible option, you gotta pick one, and if you don't, I'm gonna pick one for you. Well, my response is, okay, pick one for me. I'm gonna let the rest of the country, if they've nominated these two candidates and I can't support either one in good conscience, then I'm not going to. I'll keep my conscience clean, keep my hands clean. And, whoever's elected will pick up the pieces and try to do better in 4 years. And it's that 4 years forward emphasis that leads me to my enthusiastic endorsement of NOTA 2016. None of the above. Because, remember, it's not just 2016. Look to the future. Remember that message that voting for Donald Trump sends. You give me a garbage candidate and I will salute and back him up. That is a recipe for more garbage candidates. More candidates with no convictions, no character, and not even majority support in the Republican Party. If that's the kind of candidate you want, vote Trump. But if you're willing to take maybe a hit, maybe have a worse president, I don't know, but a marginally worse president possibly in Clinton, then if we send the Donald down to absolutely flaming defeat, if the Republican Party recognizes that you can't just sign off on anybody, that if there is a awful candidate, you got to fight against him, not just roll over, say, well, he wants to make America great again, let's just go for that. But listen to what he's saying. Think about his positions, and fight back if he is bad, if he is a indefensible, insupportable candidate. Don't defend him, don't support him. That's the message we need to send in 2016. It's a really depressing fact that we're at a place where that's the best we can hope for, is to scare the Republican Party for 4 years from now. But that's my goal. That's what I'm voting for. I don't know if I'm going to go third party. I'm looking at some other third party options. Don't really love any of them. I may write in a candidate. I may just leave that spot blank on the ballot. Get out there and vote. We're going to need those down ballot races. But none of the above. Don't pick Trump. Don't pick Clinton. The message we send this year is that if your candidate you nominate can't meet a basic bar of acceptability, if I cannot support him in good conscience, I'm not going to support him. That's why I'm voting NOTA 2016.